Hello, BBCers. Welcome to another episode 122. Now, I want to start off by saying how shit solo queue is. It's It's just matchmaking's broken.
Curtis, where are we going with this?
Even if you're the better player, you don't climb. I'm sick of Smurfs. The matchmaking with Smurfs, they just ruin my league experience and they prevent me from climbing. And no matter how well I play, I can't climb because Riot and the matchmaking and the Smurfs and it's too much. I hate Riot. What does that sound like, Nathan?
I was just reading your facial expressions, Curtis, because I know when you're being sarcastic.
I tried to really.
You had a crack, but it's not believable, Curtis. I'm sorry.
Because people
you tried. You had a okay. So I'll tell you what, Curtis. You were good for the first. You actually scared me for the first three, and then you couldn't maintain it.
I tried. Okay, I tried.
That's like when you're an actor, or you're like on set. You might start off. You're like, all right, no, cut.
Yeah. And the director comes out and tells me how to do it better. Yeah, I know. I tried. And people in the MLA they say, it would be so funny if Curtis was toxic and just said this stuff, right? But I'm saying it for a reason because, me vocalizing it really sounds silly, doesn't it? It sounds really silly.
It's embarrassing.
And I got linked a video from someone later last week about this guy basically saying how like the matchmaking it's broken and Riot, the whole system revolves around getting you to play more games.
There's like an algorithm to make sure that you're addicted and playing the games. And like I think the video, because I watched this video as well because Curtis sent it to me because it was just like just absolute entertainment. And he was saying about how something like if there's 3 games. Riot will make you lose 2 and win 1. That will keep you playing the game.
That's right.
But if they have like data that if you are to lose more than 3 games in a row, you're less likely to continue playing that game that day or even that month.
Okay.
Which is,
right. There's all this stuff, right? And potential algorithms that Riot use to keep you hooked in the game.
Like social media does.
Right. It could be true. It wouldn't even surprise me. And to be honest, I couldn't care less. There was this video, and basically what he did, he proceeded to, he's a silver jungler, and he's got all these articles that he and all these like kind of research papers that he refers to about how the algorithms work in these multiplayer games and stuff. And basically he says, okay, I'm going to prove the point, right? He loads up a game and it's a flex queue. And he says, already guys, look at the matchmaking. As you can see, it's not looking good here. I'm a silver player and they've got bronzes, but then there's 1 gold here. It's like, but it's a flex queue. So, which is already really weird, right? He goes into this game and then he's like bot lane dies at like level 2 or level 3. And then he starts to really kind of get into this whole thing where it's like, well, this is how the matchmaking was going to play out. Remember, my bot lane was lower rank, so my bot lane's going to lose. And I'm just like kind of pushing that whole narrative that this game I was always going to lose it no matter what. And tunneling on this one game. And it's interesting because, you know what? Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. That might be the case. That's the way the matchmaking works, right? Like you might have one lower elo, maybe your bot lane's lower ranked, but on the other side of the map, maybe your top lane's higher ranked. That doesn't necessarily mean one's going to win, one's going to lose. It's going to influence it, right? But anyway, he's going into this whole spiel about how the matchmaking completely dictates how you're going to win or lose, the likelihood of winning and losing games, and going into this whole thing. And I get 8 minutes through this video. And I'm thinking to myself, hold up. This whole video, you've completely forgotten one important factor here. You've completely forgotten the idea that people can improve at the game and learn. You've completely forgotten that the entire point of playing the game, of like playing a game and queuing up, is to learn something and improve and genuinely get better. His whole model, this whole idea about toxic matchmaking and you're stuck at your rank because of all the other players and all this stuff, it completely forgets that it's like if I lose, I don't learn, and then that's it, I'm stuck. Or I win and I learn and then I lose, and that undoes the learning that I may have had. It's this super weird view of the game. It's completely detached from genuinely learning a skill. It's either I have the better team and I win, or they have the better team and they win. And no matter what I do in this game, it doesn't really matter because it's all predetermined. And this guy, he may be really smart. He's probably some crazy engineer in real life, and he does all these research papers. He's got probably doctorate on his back wall and stuff like that. Okay, cool, man. But you've literally forgotten that people can improve at the game. And that's the whole point, is to develop a skill. Isn't it really strange that you wouldn't hear this anywhere else in any other field? It's like, you just get better at the game, man. And you look at it, and I said this video to Nathan, I said, this guy's probably made, let's say, 8 different pathing errors and missed opportunities, mechanical misplays in the first 3 minutes, but doesn't worry about that stuff. He doesn't think about that. Isn't it? What are your thoughts on this? Like the psychology behind this?
Because I love breaking down the psychology of League of Legends players. The reason that I love doing that, guys, is because, I mean, goodness, how much have I said on this podcast over 120 episodes of gaming is talent, you're either good or you're shit, and that's it. That is the default. Anyone that jumps into League of Legends, that's what you start with, right? If you jump into that field with any other field, any other sport, even chess, your advantage, because you know that there's skill into this. And I think that you can't even undo the beliefs from a video like that or a type of person like that I've found in League of Legends, because again, they just think that it's static. And also they sometimes as well, they think of, and sometimes it might be true, like they use a very small range. So let's say it's like, they're thinking about like, I'm silver 2, but like I should be gold 3. Right? Because then let's say they maybe see something like that. Oh, I can do that in my game, but it's super easy. Like, why? These people suck on my team. And when I play, maybe he gets to like gold 4 and then he drops back down and he sees that, they're not that different in silver 3, because he's just thinking of like a short range versus like, okay, the difference between a silver 1 and a gold 1 player is ginormous, is actually pretty significant. Huge. And isn't it interesting how we've done so many review sessions, so many coaching sessions, everything makes sense. I can literally instantly have an idea of what a silver player looks like. A low silver, like the way that we would probably categorize it is there's like low silver skill level, high skill level level, low gold skill level, high gold skill level, and then so on, platinum low, and then platinum high skill level.
It gets a little bit more specific, but still the similar premise.
Why is that? How is that possible?
How is that possible?
Right? Doesn't that sort of just break that sort of that narrative?
Just pure behavior and gameplay and skill.
And you can just see it.
You see it.
You just see it.
Decisions. It's decision making.
That's right. So yeah, I genuinely think that conversations with these people is literally impossible.
It's impossible
because their belief is so ingrained, and just the culture. Like they've had 20 years of gaming, because that's how games used to be.
Yeah. It's you're either good at it or you're bad at it, and there is no learning it. And it's almost as like, again, it ties back to that whole thing. If you lose, it's a waste of time. It ties back to what we covered in the last episode. If this guy loses his game, he loses that game, right? He has like the matchmaking, sees all the borders, sees that there's maybe 1 gold, 3 sea of silvers, like is already weighing up. He's like, okay, their bot lane's gold, mine's silver. They are going to lose. Therefore, okay, this game, I'm already screwed. Like, and no matter what happens, and he doesn't even think about his decision making. It's not even the question. The question, how could I have made better quality decisions, isn't even in the realm of possibility.
No, it's right. I gotta repeat that. It's not even in the realm of possibility. It's not even. I can't even fathom.
It's like these are decisions I'm going to make every single time, no matter what, and it's never going to change. Yeah. It's so strange to me.
It's crazy,
and it's crazy how this guy can make. He can go to such depths. Like he can find research papers and go out of his way to make a YouTube video. Like this guy probably works a full-time job. This is like consuming his life. Like he has to prove the theory that Riot's matchmaking is. This is everything. This is why you're stuck. Like the degree of passion and delusion just is so fascinating to me. It's like, yeah, and I love it though, because it's really interesting, and it shows that we have a lot of work to do.
Absolutely.
And the message that we're trying to spread is only touching such a small amount of
so small. It will take decades, absolute decades. Even the Halo community, they still don't get it. No one gets it.
Yeah.
It's very either you're talented shit, you play put in lots of time, or even I would say, I mean, coaching is sort of like, it's grown a lot in the League of Legends. It's sort of got more accepted.
Yeah.
Everyone's used to their 1 hour sessions, but even then, no one really knows what a coach does, or like
it's not nowhere near solved.
No.
The last thing I will say that ties into this beautifully is the disconnect between execution and knowing something in theory and executing on it. That's what I love. I had a master session this morning, and there was a situation where he like messed up a lane assignment, right? Where he should have been playing topside, and he should have been kind of prepping for Baron and all this stuff, right? And he didn't. He kind of went bot, and they played the bot side, like Baron's up, and they had all vision control topside, yet they kind of played for bot tier 2. And I'm like, why? Like, even if you get a kill here, it's not going to lead to anything because you're so far away from the Baron, it doesn't even matter, right? And he's like, oh yeah, like, and he said to me, Curtis, I can get into the review and I can look at this and I can make sense of it, but I still won't make this decision in game. I'm like, that's okay. That's normal, because just because you know something in the review or look at someone else making that decision doesn't mean that you have the ability to execute upon it, because it requires a whole nother level of understanding. Like, there's tiers of understanding. It's like a hierarchy. There's like base, there's like, okay, not knowing at all. Then there's kind of understanding it. Then there's like, okay, I understand it, but I don't know the feel of it. And then there's like, I know the feel. I know why it works. I know how it works. I can do it in many situations. And you need to get to that level to bring back consistency at that topic. And that's what League is. People think that they know all this shit, but they really don't. Like, you got to execute on it.
All right, so I've just thought about it right now. There's the two core things that is why the game's so disrespected and why people think there's no such thing as improving. Number one, it's because you have teammates, and I'm going to use a comparison to chess in a moment. And number two, it's 4 buttons and a mouse, right? The accessibility, theoretically, anyone can do that, right? Let's think about, so let's just use the most obvious example. Now, like physical sports, right? You have teammates, but you can clearly see physical skill by physical, your physicality aspect. You see like the NFL draft is like, this guy's going to be insanely good, but you don't even have to look at the teammates.
It's not tangible.
That. No.
Yeah, it's not tangible. And
then if you think, okay, well then let's use the comparison with chess. Chess is more of like an intellectual game, like League of Legends in a way. But there's also the execution aspect. You got to think on the fly. You have a short amount of time and stuff like that. But guess what? It's 1v1. It's individual. So you have nothing to. You're literally, obviously, it's like my rating. People will think that their rating in chess, it suits their play because it's 1v1.
1v1.
So those are the two core things that I think why.
Yeah, that's why poker is not even fully, like, poker has aspects of it where you can make good quality decisions and still get punished for it. But it's still ultimately what you're
instantly grasp those, super logical.
No, right? But it's still only you.
It's only you.
It's only you. You're the only one making that decision. No one else is making that decision for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still that 1v1 in a way, right?
Okay, and let's just think about now shooters, FPS. There is very obvious tangible skill in shooters as well compared to League of Legends.
Yeah. It's very tangible.
Because you can see their aim, and like literally someone like let's say a silver player can literally not be able to do that in those clutch situations.
Yeah.
But in League of Legends, technically a gold player could go into, or even a silver player could go and practice a Z combo and do it exactly like Faker. They could literally do that.
The skills of League are very intangible, aren't they? Like, you can't tell what skill a lot of person has in like one game. You actually can't. You need to see multiple games. This ties into one of my topics I was going to talk about beautifully, actually. I actually cracked the code on a very particular aspect of my teaching. I'd love to share this. One of the topics that we've been talking a lot recently about is complexity of champions. And I've always, we've heard for years, all the way from coaches like LS, say things like play Annie to learn the game, right? And I've had hunches in the past by saying you probably shouldn't learn the game playing a champion like Yasuo. I couldn't really articulate specifically in a short, sharp, concise manner why. It's like, okay, one's simple, one's complex. That's not good enough. What makes a simple champ? What makes a complex champion? There are 3 aspects that dictate the complexity of a champion. This is kind of my theory. The first one, and the most important one, is the ability of the champion to separate fundamentals. Okay? I'll break this down for you. In mid, right, we have the mid lane fundamentals. And I'm sure this actually applies to jungle as well, right? But in mid, we might have things like warding and leaning. We might have like wave management, getting good resets. I would even include trading within this, CSing, all these things. And these are individual skills that you develop, right? As Annie, you can clearly isolate one of those skills very easily. You don't need to trade with the enemy to last hit because you've got non-committal trading ability. You don't need to trade.
So is that the W? Because it's like a...
Well, Annie, you can just queue from a distance or auto. You're just a ranged champion in general, right?
Okay.
And because of the simplicity of the kit, you can separate the fundamentals, right? Let's take Yasuo. On Yasuo, you can't. You're a melee and you can't CS without taking damage. You can't fix the wave without taking damage. In order to CS, you need to also trade because that's the way your champion works. And in order to trade, you're going to have to naturally overextend. And so wave management and trading and all these fundamentals, they're joined together. You can't actually detach one without the other. So when you're learning the game, and I'm teaching the game, that's why I find it so difficult to teach the game with a Yasuo, I can't isolate any skills. We have to learn all of them together.
Well, it's all smack bang.
And it's so difficult.
Yeah.
And so the first category, the first reason, what dictates the complexity of a champion is the ability of the champion to isolate fundamentals and separate the fundamentals.
Yeah, it's also, in terms of the learning process, it's so you can very clearly see how you lost the game. But with these type of champions, it's just confusing. It could be all like the fundamentals or like a huge portion of it. But it's like, champs with simple identities and simple kits, it's very obvious to see what you're...
Well, that ties into my second and third point. The second and third one, mechanical execution, right? Ease of execution mechanically. And the third one is having clear reference points. That's the second and third reason. So they're the 3 factors that dictate champion's complexity. So if you think about a champion like Malzahar, that's like the ultimate of all 3. Very clear identity, very clear ease of execution, and has the ability to separate the fundamentals. You have the opposite side of the spectrum, Yasuo. Hard mechanically, very confusing reference points, and doesn't have any way of separating the fundamentals. So from a teacher, as a coach, I really dread coaching Gold's Yasuos for that reason. I'm like, and what I actually had to say to a client recently, I'm like, for the benefit of your journey, I would much rather we pick up Yasuo and Plat. Let's just learn the game first. I cannot teach you the game as Yasuo.
Through this champion.
I can't.
Yeah.
It's actually impossible, I believe. We can be, and I'm like, okay, I can teach you to climb to gold, so plat with Yasuo, but it's going to be brutal. It's going to be way harder than it needs to be. And to be honest, I think there's still going to be aspects of the game that you won't understand, and you'd just be better off learning another champ and coming back to Yasuo. So that's kind of like, one of my recent findings. And I love this because now it adds clarification of like why I've been saying that sentence, why people have said those sentences, why those champs specifically.
So you sort of knew it was a good idea. You knew it was a good idea, but you didn't really know why. And it's again because you can't really isolate.
What I've noticed in my coaching is that I have hunches of things, and I have a feeling that something isn't right, but it aggravates me when I can't explain why. And now I'm able to really know why. On a side note, is the same for jungle? Like, when you think about jungle fundamentals, are there champions that kind of bypass the jungle fundamentals, or some of the kind of you either can't learn specific fundamentals or they're joined together or some sort? Because I don't really know what the jungle fundamentals are. Is that a thing, or do you think this is just kind of independent or strictly for mid?
All right, so the champs that I would say are very similar would be high. So you know how you said it's melee champions, right? For you, for mid, for jungle, it would be champions with like no CC and like mechanically like Nidalee.
Right.
Me teaching the game through Nidalee as a goal, because it's so hard for them to see what's going wrong, because that skirmish was good to take, but guess what? You're missing all your abilities.
Right.
So it's like it's gonna fuck with that person
because they're not getting rewarded for making good quality decisions.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
And same with Graves. I would say a gold 4. So Graves is very hard to coach because Graves is a champion. It's just so versatile in what can be done. It's interesting. The trends
are... reference point. That's the reference point.
Yeah, the reference point. The reference point is as Graves. It's like, dude, you can just run around the map and do lots. You can counter jungle. You got to do all these fundamentals. Just overwhelm. It's like, I got to teach you everything by jungle instantaneously. So I would say Graves, Kindred, Nidalee. Those are probably the core ones.
Because they're the ones that have so many options,
yeah,
and their reference points are so situational.
Yeah. Especially around marks and all that sort of stuff for Kindred. It gets
you know what that reminds me of? Silas. For me, if you're playing Silas in gold, it's a fucking nightmare.
Really?
There is because Silas has the most unclear reference points.
Yeah.
Because your the way you fight completely depends on the ultimates that are in the game. so he's mechanically demanding. Fighting. It's all about skirmishing.
Because you're a melee. You're a melee champ.
It's all about fighting and skirmishing, and that's literally the purpose of the champion. You're a skirmisher. You're mechanically demanding. Your major damage comes from you have to hit your E2 to get on top of people, and your role in fights is literally dictated by the ultimates you have access to. So Silas is another one of those champions that is absolutely nasty.
The interesting thing as well with those champs that I just mentioned as well, none of them are really that reliant on ult. Like Nidalee doesn't even have an ult. Graves ult, it's like useful, but again, you don't.
It's kind of like a bonus.
Yeah, it's like a bonus. Just the way you play fights, like it's sort of like a finishing move or whatever. And then Kindred, I guess Kindred R. I mean, that's
so complicated.
That's very hard to teach how to use. That's a lot of intuition.
That's
right?
So much intuition.
And then you have someone without, CC, like champion like Shyvana. That's a clear reference point champion because it's just
so simple.
Farm, high CS. You're a scaling champ. Fights execution really easy, and if you don't have ult, it's going to be you don't really fight.
Even Rek'Sai is pretty like even though he's like I would say mechanically he can be a little bit tricky in skirmishes across the board. He actually would teach the game a very clear way. Like his
I think when I mentioned in my guide, I said that Rek'Sai is the best jungler in the game to learn how to jungle.
Yeah, you can
because the execution is relatively easy, and he's purely. Need to understand how to read the map, waves, how to gank, what high quality gank.
If you could play Rek'Sai, you could probably play many, many, many other junglers.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you say that because I play Rek'Sai and I can't really play many other junglers. No, I can. I definitely can. Just the, No, I just like my early game junglers. But, so that's the way that I'll break it down for jungle. Yeah, I definitely have struggled. Kindred, Graves, Nidalee. Kindred, Graves, Nidalee. Those are the trifecta of very, very difficult to teach jungling and the game through those champions because they're just mostly about skirmishing and intuition, which is, very hard to teach. Because again, when you're a silver and gold player, I have gold members as well. Sometimes they don't know what sometimes other champions do here and there, and they're like, oh, they get taken off guard. Like they maybe know it, but they don't have built. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot that. Let's say even something about Galio R, they thought it was a shorter cooldown than it actually was or something. You know what I mean? So it's like...
Yeah, there's so many little things.
So there's little things. It's really difficult,
Nathan, have you had... Actually, it's a shitty question. I've had 2 people quit the MLA in a very similar fashion recently. I mean, they're not the only people that left. People leave all the time, join all the time, but... 2 people quit, and it was interesting. It's like they just kind of gave up. These are long-term clients. And it was really interesting that they gave up at a very similar time of the season.
What are we talking about? Because we're
in a similar fashion.
4 weeks, 3 weeks away.
It was almost like they were really trying to achieve their goal towards the end of the season, like for the past, say, 2 months. And this was, and I guess like we're 3-4 weeks out, and they realized that like they weren't hitting it.
Yeah, not even close.
And they just like said, I'm throwing in the towel, fuck it, fuck league, it's not for me, and just give up.
Yeah.
And and obviously they should go on the graveyard on the wall, but but it's like I don't feel bad because I tried my best. Yeah. I can't make every client succeed. I openly fail clients, right? And some clients, sometimes I believe there are clients that can't be helped.
Yes.
Right? They don't want to be helped. Now, I'm not saying these 2 clients didn't want to be helped, but I'm saying that there are other things at play that I didn't understand. And I think therapy was probably needed. And I always feel really bad. So it's like, fuck, man, like they were so close to their goal and they just didn't keep at it. And it's really going to hurt.
You got the whole what if. Well,
it's going to hurt their growth mindset in the long run. Like if they've given up at this, what else are they going to give up at, you know? And it always leaves me feeling bad. But it's always sad because it's like, is it just a coincidence that like it was just both of them at the end at the same time of the 3-ish weeks out from the end of the season?
It could be.
Or is that kind of indicative of the pressure of not really achieving your rank, and how tied to rank some people are. And it just gets me thinking, like, there are clients out there that they're trying and they're not getting results. And what is it in your mind and your experience with clients? What keeps some in the fight, keep on going? And why do some people quit and give up? And why do some people just keep on going?
Oh, that's pretty easy. They keep on going. I think we really touched this on the podcast, is because League of Legends is such a new game. It's been around for 10 years, but let's say people, especially the new, like there's a lot of new players have come in the last couple of years. In general, again, going back to gaming culture, you play a game and you move on to the next game. You only play it for like a couple of months or like a year, or like League might be their first game. They've like committed like 3 years to it. 3 years in their mind is a long ass time. But as League, like let's say if League goes on for 50 years, giving up, we've only been playing 2 or 3 seasons, will actually be sort of like less accepted than it is now. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think we've done a really good job to say like League of Legends is a very long-term journey. If you want to climb to the highest ranks, it's a huge chip away. It takes a lot of time. And I would say that the people that really stick it out is like they just love the game and they realize how difficult the game is. And the whole mindset of like the timeliness of like seasons is it's just not talked about or not things.
It's not important.
I'm just having a crack. And like even in the preseason, like I have plenty of people insulted. We're going to still be playing, but we're still be trying to climb. We'll talk about the preseason later in one of the next episodes, how to use preseason. But I'll say that's what gets people going. It's just thinking, again, holistic. It's like, dude, it's not about the end of season rank for that little OPGG thing, dude. It's just like, I'm a League of Legends player. This is my hobby. This is what I like to do. But because, again, League of Legends hasn't been around long enough, that's just not a culture or a thing people think about.
Well, it's with these 2 clients, they were actually both at a very similar rank. They were both like D2.
Do you know how long they were playing for?
Quite a while, both of them.
5 years, 10 years?
Yeah, probably between, I would say, maybe 5 or 6.
Okay, so that's definitely on the longer.
Yeah, and they were both at D2, and they were trying to get to like that master.
Oh man, dude! Like I'm telling you, dude, those players, like one more season, you can nail it.
And
dude.
both of them were, both of them just at the end, their final message was like, well, one of them's like, I don't believe in self-improvement. Like, like he completely lost the plot.
Yeah.
And the other one was like, I just don't know how to improve, and I just can't improve.
Yeah.
Like they both kind of just didn't fundamentally believe in their ability to improve. And I'm like, fuck, that's such a bad message. I'm like, oh God. No. And I feel bad because like, I mean, obviously I feel bad because I've done so many sessions with these guys. I'm like,
and also
I've
there's
gone
so
out
much
of my way for
out
so
there,
long.
and you've talked about them. And
in
you've
DMs,
shown
the amount of time in DMs with these guys, like just trying to solve their problems, stage 3, stage 4 problems. Like it's like hours.
And then it's like,
hours.
that's the end result.
That's
like,
the end.
I'm just literally not capable of improving.
If it was like, okay, I actually kind of know how to improve, but League isn't for me.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, I can live with that. It's fine. I don't give a shit. But it's the fact that I don't even believe in improvement. Like I can't improve.
It's literally just about talent.
I feel like I've hardcore failed, but I don't really know what I could have done better. Like I've really tried to reflect on it, and I just don't know what the answer is for those with clients. And I'm starting to. I feel like it's going to be one of those psychic cases where like I learn like a year later, I'll like reflect on it and be like, okay, I kind of know what I went wrong with those clients. The last thing I'll say about this, like my hunch and what I did, I think I failed fundamental with these two players is I wasn't brutal enough on the champs they should play. And I think with one of them, they kept telling me that they wanted to do it through the lens of a Diana one trick. And it just exploded his brain. Like climbing through Master, because he actually got to Master, and then climbing through Master to like GM and Chal with Diana one trick as a mid laner, it's such an ugly journey.
It is.
Like being a one trick in general is just an ugly journey. And then he would constantly come back to me saying like, I don't know, I'm stuck and I can't improve. And I'm like, okay, let's get into the specifics. And we'll get into the specifics for like a week. And then he would just be
Disappear.
radio silence.
Yeah.
And then he'd just be, and then he would come back, and then he would come back like 3 weeks later, a month later, and be like, okay, we could get into the specifics for a week, and then give up. It was just this constant, like he just couldn't get it. Like he didn't get it. And then the other guy, and I just had to.
It's like short bursts. Like he's expecting short bursts versus like, okay, you know, just again, let's expand the time. Let's expand the time pool and let's just chip away and we're going to have really bad
but he
times.
Didn't. It's not like, it didn't seem like he was having fun being a Dyna one trick. And I feel like I just had to tell him, like 2 months in, just stop.
Yeah.
Like, stop. If you're complaining this much about being a Dyna one trick, then stop.
Oh, he was actually complaining a lot about it.
Like you say, it just feels like my champ's like shit and, you know, all this stuff, right? And then the other one was, again, he had like a very mechanically demanding pool and it just felt like he was always tied to meta. And same thing, get specific, but then mental boom, get specific, mental boom. It was just this constant cycle. But why these players didn't get it and others players get it? It's like, I feel like it's our job to get across that message.
So you want to know that you wouldn't, you just
like,
don't
why does it click with some people? Like, why does it click with others and some and not others? You know, that's the interesting thing.
Well, you know, the thing that I truly believe is that those long-term players, 5-6 years, they've got a lot of bad habits, you know, and and a lot of narratives around the game. Yeah. That is definitely going to be. There's lots of mental baggage there. It's like when we say,
they were natural talent, like they did diamond, like
instantaneously.
Yeah, they were like they got to diamond pretty early.
Yeah. And remember, going from diamond, I always say, is diamond above, you're pushing the top of the play base. Like you've got to figure out how to improve. Because you've obviously maxed out your talent at diamond, right? There's no such thing. Pretty much, yeah. They're not going to talent their way to challenges. So now it's like, okay, this is where my talent gets you, and now I got to really figure out how to improve.
On that, I had someone write to me, it was Kovar, saying, why does D1 feel harder than...
Holy shit, I literally got this question.
Oh, you had that? You were going to talk about
this question yesterday as well.
The people were saying, why does D1 feel harder than like, say, High Master or GM or something? Was that the same question?
Exact same question.
So what do you make of this?
It's not. It's not. Do you know why, Curtis?
I want to say what I wrote in. Yeah, you can keep talking.
The reason is that it's just these I think that diamond.
It can feel harder. It doesn't mean it is.
It is. I can feel harder. Feel harder. Feel harder.
Why does it feel harder, you reckon? Because obviously it's not, right?
Yeah, like when I review a Diamond 1 player, like, you know, the skills that they do need to learn, but they need to holistically understand more about pressure and speed and tempo and, you know, high quality resets and impact kills. Like there's very key things that I always see in Diamond players that like, okay, if you fix these, you know, you should be a comfortable 100, 200 LP player. You know what I think it is, Curtis? I think it's because of the master promos.
Yeah, that's one.
That's what it is, because it's the constant. Oh, I'm so close to it's everything around the LP is just okay. If I was to do a heat map of like people's focus on wins and losses in LP, their heat map really centralizes in the rank ladder about the master promos, because master promos, that's the sexy, that's the getting master, because then you're finally out of the DD. It's just master now. Now you can just you're all the way up. So I would say the heat map is like, you know, centered the most around D1 master promos. The platinum to diamond one, it's pretty hot there as well, and it's pretty hot, you know, there, but it's just literally white hot at the platinum.
Yeah, there's definitely something around like the fear of like the promos and the master, getting to master, it's like a big jump. It's like looks so different because it's like different to every other rank, right? Because now you're not doing the D4 to D1 anymore.
Just as you said, the starter base camp.
I do think that there is an element of there is a lot more like anxious and tiltable players because they're all so close.
Yeah.
Right? They're all so close. Like a lot of them, it's like, oh, it's just there. You know when Shern used to talk about this thing where you say you've killed the inhibs and then you've killed the Nexus towers and like they're respawning and people can't accept reality that they're respawning and they're like, oh,
finish the Nexus,
and they just die. But Shern would always used to say like, just calm down.
Discipline League Legends.
Like we just go back, reset, get camps, get the back, you know.
Close out the game cleanly.
But everyone else around him was always so desperate. We got to end. And he hated that. Yeah. And I feel like it's the same thing where it's like, you're so close, but so far. And because you're grasping, it's like what you said, you're just now thinking about the LP. You're thinking about the rank rather than the behavior.
And then you really focus on your teammates because if you get those teammates that lose you the game, like then you're just like, oh,
you're so anxious.
You're the one that lost me. You're on edge. There's lots of anxiety around that rank.
Yeah, it's the actual edge. Right, anxiety.
And as well, the key thing as well, because there's actually a lot of accounts around that D1 Masters, especially on EUS. It's like, isn't it as like top 10,000 or something?
There's a shit ton.
There's thousands on EUS, right? Yeah. And even in NA. And you know, I would say it's like the D1 to the 100 LP because it's just it's definitely a very tiltable range because if you're go from 100 LP and then you're just going to drop like really quickly and then, but if you're like a D1 player, you'll never really go down to D3, so you'll sort of always be around there.
Right.
And also the accounts are always going to be, especially because there's so many people, all the accounts, they're just obviously plus 50. It's going to be, there's no huge gains. It's just straight up gains.
Brutal.
So if you drop the ball and tilt just a little bit, you will fly down and then you fly back up and it's just this constant back and forth.
And I do think that, a lot of people genuinely get stuck here at this ELO bracket for a long time. And then they just have like really terrible mentals because the longer you stay at a given rank, the more,
because that's the way humans
becomes your identity.
It becomes your identity.
It's like I am a D1 player, and Master's just impossible.
Yeah,
like because
the person that asked me that question was literally, why are there so many hard stuck D1 players? So let's just think about that identity.
Right.
Hard stuck D1 players. Like that's
it's like a tag.
It's like a tag, dude.
It's like I am a hard stuck Diamond 1 player.
That is who I am. That is my identity. I can no longer, that is me. I'm proudly going to be it forever the rest of my life.
And I feel like the longer you're there, it just shapes your entire view of the game.
It does. It really does.
And I feel like it's one of those things where you kind of feed that narrative subconsciously and through self-sabotaging behavior.
Yep.
And you start to win and then it's like too good to be true. And then as soon as like you have that one, say you're at like you've you've been in D1 for months, right? And then you kind of get to like you get to your promos and then every negative thing that happens in your promos, you're going to overemphasize.
Right,
it's like your bot lane dies at like, say, level 3.
All my champions getting destroyed by certain counter matchups, the meta, there's so many things that you're
but like just in that game, though, like to think about it, let's say you're playing mid and then your bot lane gets double killed at like, say, 2 minutes 30. You would emphasize the fuck out of that double kill bot. It's like, oh, yet again, like, it's just like, it's because it's too good to be true that you're gonna just like get to master.
Yeah.
And then that will influence your behavior, and then you'll play shit, and then
you're thinking about that. You know what you're thinking about? You're thinking about, oh, how right I am. I'm so smart. Yeah. I knew this was going to happen. I'm so smart. Exactly. Instead of thinking, dude, what's the next objective? How do I win this game?
Win the game. And then that mentality gets you in that rut, and that's why you're in D1. And then so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It is.
And this whole message that I got from Cobra, it's like the mentality you have right now, you are that average D1 player.
He is.
You know, the way you're talking right now, that's how every D1 player thinks of their neighbor.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They all think that they're unique
gossiping.
Case.
They're all gossiping about each other behind each other's back, but they're actually the problem.
It's like they're all in the same neighborhood and they all have like similar houses, but they're all like saying how much better they are, but they've got the same house. Yeah. Like, that's what it's almost like, you know? I
love it.
And if they stop judging everyone else around them and just like tried to genuinely just get better, it's not that hard.
No.
It's all mental, really. The whole thing's just a mental game.
Yeah, it's not harder than any client and improving at any other rank. That's what I mean when I say it's not. It's obviously not easy.
Yes, it's not easy.
It's a combination. I think it's the ultimate combination of getting from D1 to Master and start climbing. That is is difficult.
No, there is a genuine skill gap.
Yeah, there is
like a
genuine
big
skill
one.
gap. Yes,
there
there
is
is.
like D2 to master is a huge skill gap.
And then mastered are 200 LP around that.
It's the perfect concoction of, like you said,
Difficulty, anxiousness,
yeah,
more
and focusing on the LP, and you're so close to that new sexy rank, and all the connotations around master,
and the accounts are all completely neutral as well.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
But they're pure like plus 15, or even they've screwed their accounts. They're negative LP gains.
Yeah.
Just looking at our producer, yeah.
Yeah, so I just I love this because it's just very interesting. And yeah, whereas when you're in like say you get to like 400 LP Master or GM, it's just another game.
Yeah,
like there is nothing
it's a
special.
completely
It's just another game. That's right. I just found that pretty funny. It's interesting. Awesome. It's funny that we both got that same message.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
What a coincidence. Yeah, that's actually all my topics for today. Did you have anything else?
Yeah, I had one. Revisiting the good old famous duo queue topic. A lot of people, they're definitely aware that, when they duo queue, they're more so doing it for the social aspect, rather than improve. Especially people that watch this podcast. Because just for people that haven't know, we're very against duo queuing. If you want to improve, for improvement. Yep. If you want to improve at the game, and
for climbing and improvement,
and people struggle to say no simply because they feel like they're letting their friends down or something like that. And the conversation I always have to them, it's like, okay, they're your friend. Usually friends want the best for each other. Can you just not say at this time, okay, I'm really let's say, especially it's coming to the end of the season, whatever, I really want to play solo. I enjoy playing with you, but I really want to play solo because I'm actually really trying to improve and I want to hit my ranked goals. And it's sort of just like having that conversation. Ideally they respect that, but some people feel like they don't have the conversation.
No, but
what's going on
I think
Curtis?
My read on this is it's not as simple as saying I don't want to joy because I need to focus on my improvement. Because think about how loaded that statement is.
Shit, here we go.
Okay, let's say there is a non-BBC listener who has never heard about 3 blocking, who's never heard about...
I guess it goes back to our initial conversation. Yeah. The improvement doesn't exist.
Imagine your friend is the guy that made that video I was referring to at the start. And that guy asked you to duo. And you're in gold. And say you're in gold 4 together or something. You say, oh man, sorry, I don't want to duo. I got to focus on my improvement. Think about the conversation you now have to have with that guy.
Yeah, it's not as easy as I thought then.
So that's why I think it's like they don't want to have to get into the whole spiel and be like, well, I don't really think duo is good for improving. Well, why is that?
Because there's definitely lots of the narratives to back it up. It's like, oh, well, we can play proper League of Legends, play macro. There's all those narratives.
And then it'll be like, well, then the question usually goes, so where did you hear this crap? And then they'll send this post, so who are these 2 idiot Aussie guys? What the fuck do they know? And they're from OS, and let's show their accounts. Oh, they're challenged. It doesn't matter. They're from OS. OS challenge is like NA Bronze 3. So there's just it's like where, and then that's it.
Okay, yep.
That's the end of the conversation.
Right.
So it's like that's exactly how it would go, right?
Yeah.
It's
a tough pickle.
It's tough.
It's a tough pickle.
It's really tough. I don't even think there is an easy way out. It is a series. It's like a lot. Either if you care about that person, that if someone's close to you, you are just going to have that tough, long, boring conversation. And they may never understand you. You actually have to just accept that, or not for a long time. That's why I think the best way, I think you said this a while ago, just you just got to do it and show with actions. One of the best ideas I got, someone told the MLA or something, was play on a completely different account without anyone knowing.
Yeah.
That's actually the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
So they actually don't know you're playing. And you're playing solo queue the entire time, so they don't look at your account. And then randomly you get to say you get to your rank, and then you're like, oh guys, I was actually playing this whole time. And then they're like, then you have respect, and then you have credentials, and you can say, oh, this is like what I've been doing.
It's like I did this without duo, without you. It's like, I don't want to. I can keep going. It's like, yeah, dude, go on, go for it, dude.
And then you can send that video about the BBC, and they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense because it's worked. But you're sending a video about explaining why,
and you've just been the same.
You just be in this weird mindset. You wouldn't resonate with what we're saying. It's like we're having 2 different conversations. It's like the BBC is kind of, it's like you either get it or you don't get it. It's that's the thing. It's kind of like the Fight Club thing in a way, right? It's like
you don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, you don't talk about Fight Club.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Kind of is like that. It's a weird little thing.
It is.
Last thing I will say, you know how Nathan, you said you get clients who trick you.
Yeah.
Right, you love this whole tricking.
I
clients
do.
who trick you. I had a client who joined the MLA, right?
When I say trick me, so this is the client that I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay.
This is the analogy. You know when you're in school, high school, and you haven't done your homework, and the teacher comes by, and then you pretend. What you're doing is you pretend that you attempted to do the homework, but you obviously never did, to make it look like you're really trying. It's like, oh, miss, like, I tried to solve this, but like, I really didn't think. And then the teacher comes, like, because they're there to help you. And they try and then they're like, oh, it's okay, Jimmy. Like, okay, like, I understand. Like, it looks like you tried and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know how you like sort of have that
You can like
tone?
put on an act.
You put on an act. It's like, oh, and you like pretend to be stressed and all that sort of stuff. That happens in my League of Legends soul too sometimes because I say, okay, you're doing learn objective, that sort of stuff, and they never have, and they haven't reviewed their games and nothing like that, but they trick me. They're very good at tricking me. The same thing, dude, they do the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, this is not that quite, but it's similar, right? Anyway, this is how good I am at bullshit detection. Like, I have got a bullshit radar detection system that it's from the military, dude. It's out of control.
Whoa.
And so this guy comes into the MLA and he wanted to tell me his story and like why he's stuck and like his background, right? And I said, look, I was sick at the time, so I couldn't really have a call. I said, leave me a video and send me this video and tell me about your journey. And then I'll be able to now I'll know what I'm working with essentially. So I'll be able to help you, right? And so he records this video and he tells me about his journey and he shows me his OPGG. I said, send me your OPGG, send me all this information. And I look at it, right? And I see, I'm like something, okay, so basically this guy, he peaked master. It's what he's peaked master. And then he kind of dropped down. And then I got bored of Aurelia, so I picked up Akali. And now I'm like hovering low diamond. And he told me this whole story about he's been playing the game for multiple seasons and all this stuff. And there's a few, and I noticed some red flags here. On that account, there was no previous seasons.
Ooh.
And there's just not many games played on this account. Yeah. Like it's like sporadic. And I'm like, well, this is a bit, and I started to dig down. I'm like, okay. And I like pinpointed, okay, this guy, he's very insecure about his win rate. Kind of go into my whole thing about like, I'm assuming you've bought this account and all this stuff. And I go into my whole thing about like, and he's like, he sent me a video later. I sent me a message. He's like, Curtis, you're the real deal. You highlighted every one of my problems. You're right. I'm highly insecure about my gameplay, my rank. I'm trying to get approval from others to show how good I am and doing this whole thing. And now, like, I can, like, no matter how well people hide it, they make it out to be a gameplay issue. A lot of the time, it's not. Like, a lot of the time, it's all these stage 4, stage 3 issues that are just completely...
All the invisible narratives.
It's all the invisible narratives. It's all this stuff. I'm like, okay, I don't really give a shit until you're playing consistent 3 blocks on this account. You need to be willing to go down to goal 1, and I don't care. And then we're gonna build you up, and we're gonna get specific. And who are you trying to impress? Who are you trying to prove? Who's pat in the back do you want? You know? And that's so freeing. Like, it's like when you're not playing to impress anyone, you just...
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you got to get that shit off your shoulders, dude. Like, and now, because in the past, I would have wasted months on clients like this.
Because he would, again, be tricking you, saying, these are my problems. Because, so the most recent one that I've been tricked is that he has, sporadic times where he actually plays, really, he should be, I mean, I'm not going to say he should be above his rank, because his rank is where he's based on his behavior. But you have like 1 week of like, really good games and like really some difficult games that were hard to win for sure. And like he'll like bring those to review sometimes, but then he doesn't happen to show me that 2 weeks where he literally just tilting and just completely like tanking, like solo losing, like he's the griefer. But then he comes in the next session,
the one where he plays well,
plays well and stuff like that, and he's very good at hiding those times, and that's when, I think that, as you said, there's so much information in OPGs. I should be checking for
we check
that.
OPGs now a lot of the time. Whenever there's these clients, I always check OPGs because it tells you a lot of information. It tells you if they're playing in blocks, how many games they're playing, are they sticking to a champ pool, have they bought an account? This is a high MMR account.
That's a very important
There's
one.
so many things here, and it tells you a lot about the client you're working with. So I don't use OPGs to look at like builds and any stats, nothing. All I look for is games, previous seasons, pool, that like it tells you a lot. So now, like with these clients, I'm now on the ball. Like if someone new joins and they think they're unique in their
That's
problems,
the thing. Everyone tries to think.
everyone thinks they're unique, and there are some, but like there's a lot of trends and there's a lot of patterns, and I'm getting really good at weeding them out now.
All right, if anyone's joining MLA, don't even bother bullshitting Curtis, because Curtis is the bullshit.
But
detector.
I don't even think these people try to. They
don't try to do that.
It's not like they're doing it intentional. They don't know. They're so beat down by the narratives and the culture around it. Like they don't know any other. They don't know it better.
Yeah.
Like, and they need someone to help them. And that's why I love the MLA. It's like I can work with people one-on-one, and we can get into
long
this
period
stuff
of time.
for a long period of time. I'm not just going to do a one and done 1 hour session and piss off. Like I can actually get into the weeds.
Yeah.
I love that. Cool.
Done.
Mailbag.
All right, mailbag. Away we go. Welcome back for Nathan's mailbag. Jingle, jingle, jingle song. All right, first question here is from Elisa. I don't know how to pronounce this. Hey, Curtis and Nathan. I recently just came back and found myself low bronze as a result. Was top of gold before. The games I'm playing right now feel kind of low intensity, but I still feel like I could be performing a lot better in lower elo. What I'm wondering is if I should start playing for improvement right now and probably lose more games as a result, or if I should wait until I reach an MMR that I feel fits me and provides better practice environment, more intensity. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this.
So just to clarify, is she saying that, so she was gold?
We don't know if it's Share or he, Curtis.
Huh?
I don't know if it's a
But
Share.
you don't know if it's a Share.
No
Yeah,
idea.
okay. They were gold, and then they decayed or something because they weren't playing.
Yep.
And now they're in bronze.
Took a break.
And then the question is, do I play for quote unquote improvement?
Or just get back to where I was.
Oh, whenever you're coming back from a break, you just
Play.
get games in.
Just get games
Get
in.
games
Yeah.
in. I that's why I always say it. There's a few. I've actually got a whole article on this because a lot of people really fuck this one up.
Oh, really?
People, when I say that, just get games in, what typically happens is they play like shit and then they start getting tilted and then they start
Because they're
trying
not
to,
at the rank that then and they're actually struggling.
well, no, they actually are playing worse than they used to be, right?
Yeah, okay.
But that's because they've got rust and all this stuff built up and they just got to get the feel of the game back. So any problem that you're facing, don't overemphasize it. Like, okay, there's going to be problems. Like
Yep.
you got to anticipate that there's going to be problems, and you're gonna mess up mechanically.
But
You're gonna
just
make basic
like,
mistakes.
yeah, it's a problem. Like, let's just keep getting this, but I'm not going to make a big
Yep.
deal of it. Just keep
Get,
chipping away at
get
it.
those first 20, 30 games out of the way. Once you get those first 20, 30 games out of the way, then you should be able to be similarly, maybe 30 games back at your kind of, your feel for the game will be back, and then get those games under your belt. Then you can start thinking about maybe learning objectives or whatever it is, quote unquote improvement. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I think you nailed it there. I think, yeah, definitely the part that I'm concerned about is if they, they're actually, I don't know how long the break was been. Let's say if they played 3 years ago, high gold there might be silver nowadays.
Even if it's like 5 months, right? It's highly likely that you're not going to get back to gold. You actually do get worse. When you don't play, yes, there's muscle memory that is lost temporarily that can be recovered, but there's actually stuff that is gone. So you actually do go backwards. That's why taking extended breaks in league is actually very dangerous if you want to, again, get a lot of high rank, right? So yeah, this person probably has to also accept reality that they're not going to be the rank that they were before.
I think that's the key
So that's where things get dangerous as
Yes.
well, right? Because you're like, oh, I just get those games and I'm going to get to my rank, but that's not always the case.
Yeah. Yep, that's the only thing that I'd be concerned of for them. Yeah. But make sure we're having fun, and then, and I'm sure you would definitely have an idea, like, through your games, like, I'm not holding my abilities, just got the really basic stuff, like, I'm not holding my abilities here, like, I I'm missing CS, like, you know, and then just chip away. And again, as you said, don't make a big deal of it. Yep. Otherwise you'll tilt yourself and then you're like, oh no, you know, leagues, you know, not for me or whatever. All right, next question here is from Joseph. Talda's email is support role toward jungle mid. Hi, BBC Kings. I'm Hydrorian, a Coach Cupcake student. How do you want, especially jungle, the support to play around you? Context, plat player, plane, engage, rel. I won't be specific here because I can't describe in word what I experience in game, but I would like to know if there is some plays you really like your support to do. I have a hard time reading the support jungle synergy. It feels easier with mid lane because I think, correct me, Curtis, if I'm wrong, securing vision around pixel brush, helping with crash, hold wave, and quality ganks is everything you need to do to make your mid laner happy. But junglers, how do I make them happy? I can solo Herald for them. Actually, I can't, but you get the idea. I think it means like the 8-minute, you know, roam that, you know, the supports want to do. I can solo, yeah, they aren't happy. How junglers want to interact with their supports? Maybe it's me that calls at wrong times, but I feel like jungler, I don't want to be pressured by the support to impact the map. In opposition to mid laner, it looked hard for me to evaluate how to complement their play, especially when they don't play, when I'm on a tempo advantage. Maybe I should be able to read when and how they're going to impact the map in advance. If yes, any tips on what indicator I should look for? Thanks again. Should I start from my jungle perspective?
Yeah, start from your jungle perspective.
All right, well, I would say it's not just a support thing. In general, just have a good idea of when your jungler's doing camps. Like, just look at like their camps and, you know, look at when they're, you know, resetting. And I mean, like the way that I sort of coach is like sort of playing around your team. But, you know, I think that every role can be playing around their team members always, like their resets and their camps. Like there's like just tab and check if your jungler has overstayed. Let's say it's 6 minutes into your game and your jungler has 2 long swords. You know, just think, okay, I probably shouldn't be looking to force any fight because they need to recall. Stuff like that is massive for the game because junglers will just compensate for you, you know, especially, you know, platinum and stuff like that. So I'd say, yeah, just check into the basics. Don't think about making crazy plays. Just look at their camps. If all their camps are up right, don't take a heavy trade. Or if the jungler's pathing away from you, you know, you need to be, you jungle track for yourself. That's what I love my supports to do because then they're not going to get ganked if they're playing weak. Same with the top laner. If I want a top laner to play well with a jungler, it's like, okay, like if I'm, you know, pathing away from you early game and the enemy jungler's pathing into you and I ping that, I don't want you to start heavy trading randomly. I'd say those are the key things, just the key basics. Other than that, the rest of it, just let the game flow, man. Like it's not, you know, this isn't competitive. This is solo. You're in platinum. Just chill out. I would say specifically as well, I wouldn't really say this is a playing with jungler. This is more about what you should be doing. If I was, you know, in Cupcake's position, like if I'm Rel, I see a dive opportunity, I'm slow building a wave, especially in Platinum, spamping weak and dive. Junglers would appreciate that because they probably miss that sometimes. Even my Diamond players and Master Chief players miss very obvious dives that should never be missed. That's all I can think of, Curtis.
You know, it's funny you say that because one of the learning objectives that I set mid laners, and I say this is actually one of the highest value learning objectives and one of the highest impact skills you can possibly develop as a mid laner is simply being aware of your jungler's location.
Yep.
This is what I say. If you can just be aware of what your like where the hell are they? That's it. You don't even really need to know anything else. If you just know where they are, it gives you so much direction. Like if you see your jungler resetting and just is in base, that tells you a lot of information about what you should or shouldn't do.
The should or shouldn't do. I tell you what, playing around a jungler well is, or anyone, it's more about what not to do, I feel like, more than what to do.
Yeah.
That's what the actual emphasis should be on.
It's now not going in for that heavy trade.
I was playing Nautilus support yesterday, okay? I was against a bit of a lane bully matchup, and like I was versus a Janna, and like I definitely wanted to kill them and fight them, right? Like I'm playing a hook champion to, you know, and I was playing Nautilus Samira, you know, but my jungler wasn't around me for an extended period of time. I just sat there full HP.
That's so big. By the way.
You know how big that's is?
So big.
Instead of fucking engaging, losing half HP, and my jungler's there, and then their jungler has a dive opportunity.
Yeah, the game's over. I've won so many games like that as a support, not going in and just kind of minimizing.
Yep.
And you think you're just getting shit on, but No,
You're winning the game,
You're winning
dude.
the game.
Yeah.
Because then you're not diveable.
Yes.
It's massive.
Yes.
I think that's huge. Yes.
Like, I get so much satisfaction with my Targons because I run mid-minion DMAT a lot. Like, I see them, like, looking for a dive or something like that. I'm full HP. I'm just, like, you know, just dodging everything. And I just DMAT the cannon and then hit the 2 minions. And I'm like, yes, I just won the game. That's all I've done. I've trimmed the waves so they can't dive or anything.
Yeah.
I actually get a dopamine as much as me, like, killing someone, dude.
Yeah, it's massive.
That's so exciting. I love support role,
Yeah.
dude. I'm main in support, dude. Coach Cupcake, I'm coming for you, dude.
Just being aware, I agree. So just being aware of the jungle's location is honestly, like you said, 90% of it. And it's not really about the plays you should make, it's about the plays you don't make.
Yeah, you don't make, yes.
For mid, you actually hit the nail on the head though. Like, you know, there's actually, it's so interesting. There are kind of supports that I play with in my games, and they are very good at this particular thing. Cupcake's one of them. Kitty's actually really good at this. Kitty and Cupcake, they're very, very good at playing the vision game around mid. They know how to get vision and sweep vision so nicely. And
I tell you what I hate seeing is when, so some people get that for support, but they place their control wards and they just get insta clear.
Yeah, it's a waste.
That's so
It's the
annoying
biggest
because,
waste.
and that's a jungler thing as well, because if you're placing it, right, because you know what they do is they come out of base, right?
They come out first. They
place
think they
the
have
control
tempo, I got
ward,
the control.
enemy support comes and just clears it.
It's a waste.
That is end of review for Valve's review
And this is what
support.
Kitty and Cupcake, they're so good at doing.
They know when to place vision.
Yes, they know when to place vision,
dude.
and they know when to come by, and they know how to play that tempo vision game really well. And as a mid laner, I love it when Cupcake's on my team because I just feel their presence in the river, and I know that
it's hidden stuff. There's lots of hidden stuff.
It's the small things, and like the controlling of that pixel brush, like they're so good at doing
it's
that.
incredible, yeah.
I
If
love
I'm a
it.
jungler and I'm versing a support that has superior mid-round vision control, I lose so many options.
It's really
I
difficult,
like
yeah.
bam, so many options in my game and then suddenly I'm gonna have to like get creative looking for the lane gank brushes. But if you can't control that section of mid, especially
like
if your mid laner's getting pushed
around
in,
you mean around the banana bush and the dot bush, it's
especially
really
around the
important.
red buff. Really,
And I feel like
important.
it's actually less. It's not really up to the mid laner. I feel like a lot of the time. I actually feel like it's more up to the support and the jungler.
Yes, absolutely.
Like it's less so about mid. I feel like I never really can have proper control of it as a mid laner. I feel like it's not my thing.
Because at the end of the day, if I'm tracking, I know the enemy junglers, that side, that pixel is mine. It just is. And the enemy jungler can't do anything about it because they have to clear their camps. You know, junglers have a very clear sequence. It's not, there's very rare and few junglers that will ditch their sequence for a high, usually there's not plays to be made. You don't ditch your sequence, especially early game, early to mid game.
Good question though.
Great, fantastic question. Love it. All right, that's what we got from Mailbag, guys. If you want to send in questions, we're sort of running a bit of a drought these days. We've just answered everyone's questions apparently.
So we solved League of Legends.
Solved League of Legends.
Everyone's just getting results.
It's in the description on YouTube below. brokenbyconceptshow@gmail.com. And if you've sent one in, just like, wait, they missed my question. Yeah, I just missed the questions because we get lots of different weird type of emails and it just gets bogged down. And yeah, so if you want to resend it, resend it. Good work, guys. Let's keep on improving and we'll see you next time.